Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Dean Callan Show, or Cabin Fever, which is a live version of the Dean Callan Show. Today is episode 41. And, I started a little bit late because I'm freezing up all over the place. But if you can hear me, I have come to the conclusion that the reason I'm freezing up all over the place is because my HDMI capture card has decided to die on me. Now, I can't be sure that that's the issue. I have to assume that's the issue, but I can't be 100% sure. Now, if I try to change camera angles, it might help, but at the moment, I'm just going to kind of run with it. And if you see what I'm seeing, which is lag, comment. Let me know. So, on today's show, if the equipment will actually allow me to run a show, I'm going to attempt, while still online, to put out a Indian spice Negroni. Somewhere in this room are my Indian spices. I've got this little guy, which I'm going to start filling up with water right now. And again, it's hard to know if I'm live with all the messing up of the cameras. Now, I'm going to fill this guy up with water. This is like a ghetto prep. Like, if you know what a sonic prep is, it puts vibrations, like sonic vibrations, into a liquid, which makes it infuse flavor much faster. Now, right, keeps freezing. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut to a pre-made video, and I'm going to try to fix the problem. Again, I've ordered a piece of equipment that might get me past all of this. This is the second capture card that has died. Another capture card was meant to arrive today by 8 p.m. Talk about leaving it to the last minute. But let me just try to run an interview that I did earlier today, if you can hear me. I'm going to run an interview that I did earlier today. And yes, Babs, I will make you a Negroni. You can have the one that I'm going to make, right? I'll make double. Let me run this interview. I had a chat to one of my favorite people in the world, Martin Lang, and just discussed how the whole crisis is working out in Brisbane. How's he doing? What's it looking like for him? Let me cut across to him and see whether or not that helps. How are you holding up, man? How's things? Because you got a lot of businesses in Brisbane. The last time I was actually there, we had a good discussion about how much you cared about your staff and how you liked taking care of them, and they loved you back, which made me want to call you to find out how Brisbane's going. How is the government helping you guys out, and what have you been able to do for your staff, or not do?
Yeah, look, it's pretty tough. Before COVID, we had 32 staff members, and now we've got 6.
Oh.
So, it was pretty devastating, to be honest. I know we try to keep as positive as we can, but yeah, it's just like when the government say you have to shut down, we stopped on the 23rd of March. We shut down everything. We had enough savings because I've been preparing for the COVID for in beginning of February when the first cases started arriving around the world. So we started saving with my wife. We were like, okay, well, we save the money. If nothing happens, then we have savings. If something happens, then we are prepared. So we were able to support the staff for 2 weeks after we shut down.
Yeah.
But after 2 weeks, we weren't able to pay anybody else. So everybody was terminated. And then the government, what it's doing here is a little bit different to what you explained to me about the UK. Basically, what the government is doing here is they're giving you 750 Australian dollars per staff member. But you have to back pay them for the whole month of April. So the problem with that is that the whole of month of April,
you have to
back pay them. So we shut down doors on the 22nd of March, right? And
Yeah.
we were not trading. We couldn't trade. There's no money coming in the till. All the money was going to bills and stuff already. So to qualify for the government for them to pay you $750 per staff member per week or $1,500 every fortnight, you will have to pay all the stuff for the whole month of April. So I don't know how the government expects any business to do that, because you have to have a massive cash flow.
Yeah.
So we borrow money from the banks and stuff, and we were able to afford to pay to get 6-7 staff members in total.
Oh, I see. Wow. So you paid as many as you could borrow money for, and then.
Exactly.
Oh.
And then the money's coming back, right? But the problem is that, let's just say I want to hire more staff members next week for whatever reasons. You have to still back pay them. You can't. The government is not giving you money up front to hire staff members. You have to pay them first, and then they give you the money back. But the problem is you're not making any money, so the money comes from somewhere else. So, like, even with a loan, even like we got a loan, and even though we pay it back with the money that the government are giving us, we're still paying interests, loan fees, processing fees, and like, you know what I mean? It's just
have you
it
seen?
is good.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, go.
I was going to ask, like, because that sounds really unfair. And it sounds like it kind of protects people that were expecting it or had a huge cash flow. And those kind of people wouldn't be running on really tight margins as you know, high-end cocktail bars do. But
yeah, no, exactly.
Have you seen anyone do anything like trying to be as positive as possible? Have you seen anyone in Brisbane do anything creative that helped them? Have you seen any like good stuff and are there any avenues you can pursue outside of reopening? Like, have they made it okay to do delivery or?
All three of the four, I got 4 businesses. 3 of the 4 businesses, we're doing takeaway cocktails, and we're doing like takeaway whiskeys. Like, we're doing like the little 30 ml sample size and all that stuff.
Okay, nice.
And that's been helping, but we did because we have to prove, because we are also applying for government loan. The Queensland government is giving away $500 million to all businesses and stuff. So you have to apply for the loan, and you have to.
It's not all going to the casino, is it?
No,
I just wouldn't be surprised.
They're not open. They're not allowed to open. It's the first time in the history of Australia that a casino is not getting a benefit.
Whoa! They closed the casino.
All the casinos are closed in Australia. They're not allowed to.
Are people like? Are you seeing people in this, like, sitting in the street, like pretending to play pokies?
Yes, like zombies.
All right. Don't know if that one's working, but if I get this right, we're back in the center. All right. Hoping the audio is good. So that didn't really give me much help. I set up a different camera. I'm hoping it's working now. I've just kind of like wired around the HDMI capture card. So I'm going to fill this guy up with water. I'm going to talk about how we came to doing Indian spice Negroni. So I was on an Instagram live chat today with a couple of really lovely bartenders chatting about how I got to where I am today, my career, all that sort of stuff. I had planned to have the channel kind of like ready to go on here, but I'll put a link up to it in the comments if you want to watch it. Guys were super lovely, had a really nice chat, and they asked me how do I come up with the content for this show, to which, like, I didn't really know how to reply. At the moment, and you might have noticed, yeah, new colors, different camera altogether. Oh yeah, that's a good point. It's got a different LUT running through. You know what? Who cares? I'm learning how all of this shit works so that in the future I can come in here, I can turn everything on, and I don't have to think about the stupid capture card melting on me or the audio not working. I'll have one. This is going to be my story arc for the next couple of weeks. I'm going to have one controller, one ring to rule them all, and I'll be able to do stuff like click that camera, and hopefully it'll work, because, you know, it's literally 6 times more expensive than the current capture card, right? Actually, more than that. So I figure I really like doing this show. I like the interaction I'm getting with people. I want to do this more. I want to get better at it. And the best way for me to get better at it is to be able to just 100% focus on the content. At the moment, that's not what's happening. At the moment, I'm getting caught up trying to make sure that everything works, because every single time it kind of unplugs itself and it doesn't quite work. Once I get it all working and I don't have to think about it, then I can concentrate on the content. Speaking of which, they asked me, how do you come up with content for the show? And I was like, I just make it up as I'm going. So I asked them, what's your favorite drink? He said Negroni. And I was like, cool. Well, on the show, I'm going to make a Negroni, which this was like an hour and a half ago. And I'm going to make it an Indian spice Negroni, because they asked me a couple of times, do I make drinks with things like cinnamon and, you know, cardamom and, you know, coriander, like Indian spices. So, in the interest of getting this to actually work, I've got an ultrasonic cleaner here. Ultrasonic cleaner I got from the lovely people at Crystal Head Vodka, from Monkey, or Chris Baldwin, as he's known by his mum. Everyone else calls him Monkey. He gave me some. I'm going to do something with that again later on. And for, I think it was Diogo, or one of the guys mentioned a while ago that you super mega love skulls. Well, look at my collection of skull-shaped stuff, right? Loads of skull stuff in here. Anyway, moving on from that. I said I'm going to make a Indian spice Negroni. Now, there's a box here somewhere, which I carried in from outside. Not sure where the box is, because when I got in here, I realized like everything wasn't working. Now, oh, that's why. The cabin leaked. I haven't used it since it leaked. Right, so a couple of days ago, it poured down rain, and there's a tree that's kind of fallen, like a branch has fallen onto the roof of the cabin. Cabin doesn't have a great roof. I'm not going to lie. It's a shit roof. And there's a hole in the roof somewhere, and it leaked through, and it leaked through my iMac, and it leaked through all the electronics. It leaked through my camera. So the reason that this camera was not set up, which it now is, and it's working, was because it was soaking wet, and I wanted to let it dry out before I turn it on, because it's a very expensive camera. And now the color grading's going through the wrong way, but that's fine. We're just going to live with that. Anyway, sonic vibrations shoot through this, and those sonic vibrations aid in emulsifying things or getting things to marry in flavor. If you wanted to spend about £5,000, you could buy a sonic prep, which is like a big old kind of cage. It's got like a pin coming into it. You put a liquid inside it. The pin shoots out the sonic vibrations, and at much lower or higher resonance, I'm not sure which one it is, than this one does. But this one does a great job of infusing flavor. So when I find my botanicals, I'm going to get a gin. Oh, do you know what I could do? I could just take an already made Negroni, put the botanicals in. Oh, I could do both. I'm going to try doing both. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try doing both. Right, so before I start doing that, I'm going to cut to Mitch's Minute, which will give me 1 minute to find a power cable for this thing. Oh, don't we love it when we're just, everything's against us and we're winging it? I'm kind of excited about it. I need a 2IC. I do need a gaffer, runner, helper, you know. I want to get like a red Zissou hat and give it to someone and call them an intern. Also, considering the dire straits we're in, I might marry that with a nice tasty dram. I'm gonna go Fistful of Bourbon. Has anyone tried this? Do you guys know Fistful of Bourbon? If you don't, then I kind of could walk through it, I guess. Fistful of bourbon, vanilla yummy. Right, so Mitch's Minute. This is a doozy. This is a doozy, ladies and gentlemen. The most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to Mitch whilst behind a bar. That's what we asked him.
My most embarrassing moment behind the bar. Oh God. My most embarrassing moment behind the bar didn't really happen behind the bar. I was working a wedding at a yacht club in Sydney, and one of the bridesmaids I had been romantically involved with. And so there was already, and it hadn't gone well, it had gone badly, and so there was already some hostility towards me. And I was carrying a tray of espresso martinis up to the dais, or onto the dais, that was called, for the bride and the bridesmaids. And one of the bridesmaids had left her shoes behind her chair. And I was going the bride first, but I didn't see the chair, and I tripped on the shoes. And I dropped the tray of espresso martinis on the bride, and like all through her hair and all over her dress, and I hit my chin on the table when the groom said he was going to throw me in the water. It was a fucking nightmare.
All right, I'm back. Now, I managed in that 1 minute and 10 seconds to get to some sous vide bags. I had to run. Found my spices I set aside, got my Indian spices, and power cable. This is the advantage of having a box that says power cables right there, neatly marked, right? Epic. So, please work, power cable. Now, the way this works, and oh, do you know what I could do? No, I'm just going to straight up Negroni it, right? Going to put a big old batch of Negroni. So that's my air pump forcing the Negroni out of the keg. Babs. Yeah, I would normally vacuum seal it, but basically my sous vide vacuum chamber is down there and unplugged. Totally thought I had loads of time to have the sous vide here and this guy here. If you guys have anything that you'd like to see me do with the sous vide and the vacuum bags and all that, then rock and roll. You know, get involved. Say, hey Dean, next time, like, organize your shit. Get your shit together, get all your shit, put it in a bag, take it to the shit store, get your shit together before you start the show, right? Before you start the show. And then, we'll do some fun stuff. But for today, well, this is fun. I think this is more fun. I think the legit, panicked, just make it happen on the fly is more fun. There's also, the top of this is dusty. Oh, what a disaster of dust. Who wants dust on their vibrating thing, right? Dust is going to go everywhere. I'm going to start sneezing. Right, now, some of you may have noticed that I am looking slightly more handsome today than I normally would, right? The reason for that is that my wife gave me a haircut yesterday. And when I say my wife gave me a haircut yesterday, I mean she legit got scissors out and gave me a haircut. Now, we've got a couple of very good friends from the Czech Republic called Marek and Mirka. And Mirka is a hairdresser, and Marek is a videographer. And Marek has been giving me advice on cameras, i.e. don't spend tons of money on cameras, Dean. Sort your content out first. Get a show that flows and then spend money on cameras. Which, given today, good advice, but still want that camera. I still want that camera. Anyway, they gave us advice on how to haircut live, right? We were streaming live, not streaming. It was like FaceTime. We were FaceTiming, and Mirka, who's a hairdresser, was giving Electra lessons in how to cut hair, and like as she was learning, right? Electra has never cut hair before. I think she did an amazing job. Look at this. Look, like I've been to hairdressers and got worse, right? I had hair everywhere yesterday. But I captured a little video of it, and I thought I'd share it with you guys because that was the highlight of my weekend. It was really cool. Anyway, or week, since bloody ages ago, it's been my highlight. So I got 2 different little videos. Have a look at them. Let me know what you think. This is awesome.
To the first section, and you keep doing it again and again and again until
Okay. It's just this.
Stop. So do it one more time and go slower, right?
Yeah.
And see that bit on exactly what you have close
Yeah.
to your nail.
Yeah.
Chop it off. Chop it off. And do it again and again and again until it's really off.
Okay.
All right, I think we're back here. So, as you can tell, this is not the most polite noise. My original plan is not knowing this whole Stream Deck thing is melt. Was to have this happening whilst you're watching the Marty thing for about 10 minutes. I still want to give it a bit more time because I want to be kind of, do you know the story behind Boilermakers? Make a Boilermaker? No, I don't know the story behind Boilermakers. I will find out the story behind Boilermakers. I'm now intrigued. Oh my god, look at that. Happy days. Sound is not good. Alright. Taking this off. Boom. Ah, is the sound better? Do you think the sonic thing was messing with my radio waves? Interfering? Whoa, that's crazy. Maybe that's why they have the box around it. I should build a box. I should build a soundproof box for this puppy. It's making a weird noise, huh? Don't blow up on me. Oh no. Happy days. Right. I know this is going to have added flavor because there's like... I'm such a fucking muppet sometimes. This is like... How could I have known that was going to add flavor when I haven't put the botanicals in? This is the funniest thing ever. Can you believe that? I hadn't even put the things in. Right. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to put this in here. Right. I'm going to put that on top. Where's the little soundy McBob? Let's hope this doesn't mess with the audio again. Let me see. How funny is that? Right. Now. Is the audio better? Yeah, audio's back to good. All right. How is that? Is the audio still okay? Mate, this is so crazy.
Ooh, yeah! Can do!
Right, so now we got the spices infusing. I'm going to take the time to say a big thank you to the guys from London Ice Studio, if you guys can hear me. It's shit again. See this? These London Ice Studio. Delivered these today. They also delivered this. Now, I'm going to turn this off. I would have loved to have left that for longer, but in the interest of it not being the most disastrous show I've ever done, I think the one that the internet crashed, which was that the last show I did? Yeah, it was. Internet completely crashed, which led me to buy quite an expensive, I always wanted one, like 5G wireless hub. Has loads of aerials on it. It can have up to 64 devices and stuff, I think, connected to it. So as a backup, if I lose the internet again, I'm going to have a backup for 5G SIM card thing. And maybe it, right? So I'm not going off my phone. I'll have proper internet. So I just wanted to show you this. I was going to mime it out, didn't work. But basically, I got a delivery today from London Ice Studio. The guys come and delivered like lots of pre-cut ice. They're really lovely. And they gave me a free bag of basically offcuts, which Carlos, if you're watching, Carlos watches the show. He likes the show, but he kept seeing me like open up like the little ice cube trays for shaking. But he sent me all the offcuts of clear ice that are basically the pieces they didn't necessarily need, so that I could break them down for shaking. I thought that was really nice. He gave them to me for free. So thank you, London Ice Studio. And I've decided that because they supported me so much, I'm going to try to support them back. And at the end of the videos, I guess I'm going to have like supported by, or big thank you to the people that have supported the show, London Ice Studio, right? And from what I understand, if you are based in London, if you're making Instagrammable cocktails at home, or if you are making cocktails to send out to people, I don't know what you might be doing in London, but they are delivering again as of today. So worth noting. I'll put the details on a comment after the show, unless Carlos, he's not there. So you still can't hear it. It's still fuzzy. Is it completely gone? Damn it. I don't know what else to say. Gonna move on and make the Negroni anyway. Right. So in here, I've got cinnamon, I've got cardamom, I've got black cardamom, green cardamom, I've got coriander seed. So it should give it quite a nice little, Indian spice. In such short notice, that was like all I could really come up with. I had intended to maybe like butter chicken up some aged Bombay, but again, no time. There was just no time for butter chicken Bombay. Maybe another day we do butter chicken Bombay, right? Get some butter chicken mix in there, right? Get it tasty. Let's have a look at what this tastes like. Can you just take some simple, that's right. Does anyone out there know how to fix glassware with like gold? Because I don't know how it works, but this is my artesian mixing glass. And she died. Right on the beak, but it's all in one piece pretty much. So I'd love to repair that with some gold, Japanese style. Mixing glass. Let's have a look at this. Don't care if any spices get in. I'm going to save what's left in this bag for Babs. I'm not going to bother measuring it out. That's going to be my Negroni. This guy is going to go in here. These bags are actually really handy. I've tried to find ways to get around having to use the sous vide bags, and then, they're single use, but there's not much else I can think of. This is the best way to do it. Now, also, I've got, this ice isn't just for shaking. I can break it down to be all sorts of different sizes for my stirring ice. How cool is that? I love this shit. Free ice. Right? Who would have thought? is prompting me to potentially buy another freezer. I'd rather have more different cuts of ice, so I've got a little bit more to play with than having a vermouth freezer. The vermouth fridge, vermouth doesn't last as long as it used to. We open a bottle, we drink it, you know, so. And in case you're wondering what I mean by a vermouth fridge, I haven't really done a tour of the cabin. It's a bit of a mess. But down here, there's a humidity-controlled wine fridge that I put my vermouth into. Kind of overkill. It was cool at the time. But the real reason we bought it was because we bought some very expensive vintage champagne to have at our wedding, myself and my wife. And we held on to it for a few years, and then we had our wedding. So now it's just a vermouth fridge. Like, I don't collect wine, I drink it, you know? I don't collect anything anymore, I just drink them. So let's have a look. A little bit of dilution. How has everyone else's weekend been? There's Anova. Okay, so Anova have started making reusable bags. That's interesting. Silicon Ziploc for reuse. Benjamin Tour. Dean loves bags. Old Dean, pre-dad Dean. Maybe like back in the day. Right, so let's have a look at this. Where do we get with this one? Oh, what glass am I going to put my first ever? I don't even know what it tastes like. Indian spice Negroni. I'm going to put it in a big fucking glass. And then get a rook. Let's see. Which guy do I like? Also, if anyone's ever wondered, see these things. If you're based in London, or even if you're not, you can get them posted. The guys from London Ice Studio are also making these melty McJobs, right? So you can brand up some ice. I'm branding it for no reason other than to tell you that I can brand it. But when I have a consultation in here and people come in and sit down and I make them cocktails, I've pre-branded all the ice, put it back in the freezer nice and dry so it's really clean. And then I take it out of the freezer and let it just temper enough that when I put this up to the side it doesn't crack. And then you've got this really beautifully branded Dean Callan Show ice, which I think is cool. But it says Dean Callan Show. And I'm kind of looking at it, and in hindsight, I probably shouldn't have, I didn't temper that, obviously. I probably shouldn't have bothered with the writing the Dean Callan Show. I should have made a really deep TV logo, but hadn't developed the TV logo yet. So the next ice stamp I'm getting is going to be one of the TV logo ones, and it's going to have no writing. It's going to be nice and simple. So I've got clear lines. Bam, done. Oh, I forgot. There was some black pepper in there as well. I want a little bit of spiciness. So let's see. So, has anyone tasted Fistful of Bourbon? I've tasted it before. It's delicious. God, it's hard to describe what that's done to it. For some reason, it tastes sweeter. Could it be the cinnamon? Oh, I like it. I like it. If you're watching, Babs, this is delicious. You're gonna like it. I could say everything's delicious. Speaking of which, comment and let me know if you'd be interested in doing an actual virtual tasting, right? And when I say virtual tasting, I'll show you what I mean. So, for my consultancy, I've got tons of these things, right? I've actually got way cooler ones that are slightly bigger. But what these are, I'm working on liquids, right? Which is what this kind of cabin does. And normally people would have a new product that hasn't been released yet. They would come here, they'd sit down, right? And they might have 3 options of that product, 4 options of that product. And we'd sit down and we'd taste it and I'd say like, this is great, that's great. You know, I'd curate a room of people and get them all kind of feeding their thoughts out to the group. And then I'd give them my thoughts, and we'd come up with like angles to take the spirit. Or if we think one of the examples is great, we've got this and all the mixers and all the fruit. I'd buy all the fruit. I'd put some, you know, croissants and stuff on. And we'd sit and we'd see, right, example A, example B, example C. These are the three we're thinking about bringing to market. Which one works best in cocktails? Now, I can't do that because social distancing. So what I'm doing now is they're posting me stuff and I'm tinkering with it. And then I'm taking it from the larger bottles that I'm posted. I'm putting it, my tinkered stuff, into little bottles and taking my label maker and then labeling the bottles with like kind of coded to say what I'm doing. And then I'm going to use this whole stream setup to host a virtual, like, what do you think of that? How do you think of this? And we'll all open our little bottles at the same time. And it gave me the idea that what if, just a thought, took 3 or 4 people that have been watching the show a lot and, you know, like it and want to interact. And I took some fucking delicious whiskey down off the top of here. Maybe the ingredients for a cocktail, right? And I put them in this. Little bit of address, a little bit of postage, and then when everyone's got all their bits, right? No fresh ingredients. When everyone's got all their bits, we can do an episode where everyone calls in on Skype, and I can put like an extra screen on here. So for example, to give you a look, it might look like that, or I could do a picture-in-picture like this. So if you were, say, the other Dean, I'd put you here, and that's one person sitting there, and then I can have the next person, the next person, the next person, all from Skype, right? So I'd have people sitting all across the front of the bar, but they would have these, right? And they'd do this one, right? And they'd be looking, oh, hey, how you doing, Dean? What's happening? And we could speak in real time. They'd be on the show, and I could bartend. Tell me what you think. If you want to do it, Daniel, I know you want to do it, right? Oh, so also, Daniel, Negroni shot and beer, right? I'll show you something new. This doesn't get included, but watch this. It's the wrong beer. Okay, this is the wrong beer for it. Wait 1 moment. I'm going to show you something. Okay, so to close out the show, randomness. Anyone that's interested in knowing what a fistful of bourbon is, it's 5 different bourbons that have been blended together, kind of like the monkey shoulder of bourbon. Delicious, really easy to drink. Now, this, my friends, looks dangerous. In the interest of social responsibility, I'm going to put these ones down. It's not even Fun Day Friday. Going to open this guy the wrong way. Probably not good to be doing that. Right. This, ladies and gentlemen, is what I like to call a full Italian. Right? So you could like say to someone, are we going to go full Italian? And they'd go, yeah. Full Italian. Right? And I'm not going to lie. It's actually pretty tasty. I was drinking them on the weekend. Hold on. Full Italian. I think Simone Caporale's already made like a Peroni that has Negroni flavors in it. This is just so easy. If you want to be on the show as the mini screen in one of the future episodes, please let me know. Send me a DM. I promise tomorrow I'm going to actually go through and do the paperworky bits on that. And I'll send you, send a couple of people some little samples of some really tasty whiskey, and then I can actually share it with you. Because as much as I love doing this thing where I like make a drink and I taste it, and I'm like, oh, it's actually delicious. Like, how do you know it's delicious? That could taste horrible, right? This as well could be horrible. The beer, the spices. I'm actually really loving this. Hold on. I can taste cinnamon. It's like the barley and the spices have worked really well together. This is good. This is good. I'm going to get my buzz on before Axel gets home. And then be responsible when he gets here. Anyway, this has been the Dean Callan Show. This has been a very interesting Dean Callan Show for me. On one of these screens, you can't see it, but I can see the original feed from that USB camera, and it's going pink and green and flickering all over the place. So I'll figure that out. And you know what? Honestly, I cannot wait until France is not too far, Tim. Tim, I'm sending you something, okay? In fact, if you, after this, I might just jump on a call with you if you want, Tim, if you've got the 5-10 minutes, and we'll figure out what, right? We'll look at, I'll look at what I can actually, part with enough for 3 people to actually have a proper dram, right? Rock and roll. Thank you, everybody. It's been an absolute pleasure. And the running gag of constant dying equipment is very interesting. I don't know if it's worth returning the stuff. Oh, it's been 40 days. Evil. The 30-day return policy. So bad. Anyway, I want to put an outro on the show, but I'm too lazy.